Anatoly, A-N-A-T-O-L-Y, middle initial T, last name Fomenko, capital F-O-M-E-N-K-O. And I'll pass it around. But the European does an excellent job because he talks about how what the Roman Empire did, the Catholic priests, Dominicans and Franciscans, they backdated their history 1,053 years. Okay? Which means when they talk about the Roman Empire, you know there's a Roman Empire and there's a Holy Roman Empire. What's the difference? Hey, which is older? No, the Roman Empire. The Holy Roman Empire came around the year 1300, around under the man named Charlemagne. Okay? How history works, ironically, when the Moors were conquering, and they went up and they let out, they didn't just stop with Spain, they went over into the rest of Europe too. When they cut over into southern France, all right, there was one decisive battle called the Battle of Tours. Write that down. T-O-U-R-S. Battle of Tours. All right? Our elder, Grand Chief Pastor Bay, often points to this. In the Battle of Tours, it was a decisive battle because had the Moors won this battle right here, the predominant religion to this day of Europe was in Islam. Okay? However, the general, the Moors that was running that battle, he got conquered and killed. Well, not conquered, he got killed. And once he got killed, the way that the battle arrangement worked, if you killed the head, the body died. So once they took the general out, nobody knew where the orders were going to come from. All right? So they retreated back into Spain. Okay? The man that stopped the Moors going into Spain, his name was Charles Martel. Okay? They call him Charles the Hammer. Okay? Charles Martel's great-grandson was Charlemagne. Okay? And Charlemagne was the founder of the Holy Roman Empire. So pretty much when the Moors were conquering Europe, they had stomped out pretty much where the Protestants stomped out the Roman Empire. Had they went and continued, and took over the rest of Europe, they would completely stop out the Roman Empire. Because they didn't, they had a chance to be served as a Holy Roman Empire. Okay? So Charlemagne is, I think, Latin for Charles the Magnificent. Okay? And that's, that's another thing we'll look at as well. Alright? But, in that book, History, Fiction, and Science, it shows how what the Europeans did was, really, when they're talking about the ancient Roman Empire, there is no ancient Roman Empire. Okay? You have to remember, when did the Englishmen civilize themselves? Anyway. When did the Anglos and the Saxons unite and stop being barbaric tribes and become civilized? Around what year? No, actually, as we were right. 300 years later, about 900, the year 900. Okay, well, they say about the 10th century. Okay? Before that, they looked like, anybody seen the movie Braveheart?
900 AD.
Second? 900 AD, yes sir. Thank you very much. 900 AD. Anybody see the movie Braveheart with Mel Gibson?
Yeah, I think it's
seen it? Okay. How did they look? Did they look very civilized at that point? No. Animal fur, dirty. You see what I'm saying? These were Anglos and the Saxons who were fighting to, basically become one tribe. And William Wallace was fighting for that union, But the point is like before that, you got to realize they were all barbarians. Okay? So if you were a barbarian just before 900 AD, okay, that means there couldn't have been any Roman Empire that was before this. Okay? When they talk about the ancient Trojan War, the battle of Troy, like that stuff, all that's really the Crusades that they're talking about. See? Because the Crusades we know was not that long ago. You see? Most of the statues that they find with the broken arms and stuff like that, most of them are recently made. You're talking about in the 60s and the 50s, and they created in such a way. If they're the ones that's doing the radiocarbon dating, carbon-14, how do you know that it's really 5,000 years old? They tell you anything they want to tell you. You see, people win the war, right? To history, Islam. All right. So these are the principles that you have to learn. The fact that you haven't really been out of power that long. The whole thing about us being slaves for 400 years and all that kind of stuff. Let's disprove that today. We have scholars on today. Okay? If we've been slaves, according to them, for 400 years, that's from what day? Anyone? Okay, in Black History Month, they teach that the first slaves arrived in Virginia in 1619. Okay? Well, if you had 400 years to that, are we at that date yet? That's 2019, so that doesn't hold water. Okay? You have someone who teach that John Hawkins was one of the first ones to enslave our people in English. And John Hawkins came in 1555. Okay? So if you add 400 to that would take us to 1955. Okay? But that's not when the slaves got freed. The slaves got freed on paper in 1805. Well, So why are these dates not adding up? Or is the 400-year thing just propaganda to make you think that you were a slave as long as you were? Okay? What if I told you, if you think about it, if our forefathers cut a tree with them in 1787, okay, that means that you couldn't have been a slave anywhere around 1787. You see what I'm saying? The Moorish Empire, they were overthrowing different portions of it. You know, they didn't have the whole thing overthrown until about pretty much when the Ottomans got overthrown. And that was like early 1900s. Okay, under a man named Kemal Atatürk. Kemal Atatürk was the Turkish who, was responsible for bringing European culture inside of Turkey. All right, and made it, back then the standard headdress in Turkey was the fez. Okay, but they actually outlawed the wearing of the fez. It's illegal to be locked up for wearing the turban or fez after Kemal Atatürk. Okay, and they shipped in boatloads of old European clothes into Turkey. And they had them. That's like imagine right now we were wearing all Moorish attire. You know what I mean? And we get overthrown, and they bring us all in clothes from the 70s. Why everybody's dressed in the 21st century? That's what they did to Turk. You got to know that Turk is a cipher word for Moors. Okay? Because you got to know that the Turkish were not European. See, Turkey is positioned near Europe. But Muhammad the Conqueror, Muhammad II, was a Moor indeed. Islam? Okay? There's a book, write this down. Moorish Empire. Title of a book. Okay? You can go to Google and click on Google Books, and there's another search engine that comes up, and just type in Moorish Empire. Just download it, you can print it out, whatever. This excerpt from it. Chapter 10 is the Moorish government. That's what it's entitled. I'm just going to read a few pages here, skip through. It says, notwithstanding the great similarities which casual observers exist between the administration of one Mohammedan state and another, Morocco possesses individuality enough to warrant independent study of its methods in this, as in other departments. It has, that is, let me pause here. This book was authored in the late 1800s. Okay? But at this point, the Moorish government was really still up and running. Okay? Albeit in its decline, it was still up and running. Okay? It has, however, in common with all Muslim nations, principles and standards furnished by the Quran and the precedent of early practice. Several of the Moorish dynasties, as the first, the Idrisi, the third, the Fatimids, the eighth, the Saki, write that word down, Saadi. Alright? Those are some of the royal nobles. Matter of fact, the misconception that the Moors are Arabs comes from that dynasty right there. Because the Saudi dynasty were the Arabians that came in from Arabia who looked like us. Alright? The amalgamation didn't happen until much later. Alright? So that was the Saudi dynasty. And that's who the Arabians to the day when they say they're Saudi Arabia, they're playing on the phonetics of that to tie that in. Okay? To the original bloodline of the Moors. And the land of Falawi has been acknowledged as the descendants of Muhammad. The term Sharif or noble, as they are styled in this country, and have had a peculiar claim upon the reverence amongst the Muslims, meaning throughout the entire Islamic world, and we use that for a reason, we'll stop there. Throughout the entire Islamic world, the Moors always held a special position. Like we can claim things that no one else in the entire Islamic Empire can claim. You know what I mean? We can claim the descendant bloodline of all the prophets, and nobody will question. You know what I'm saying? We can claim that we were the caliph or the emperor over the entire empire, and nobody questions. You know what I'm saying? To this day right now, if we had our act together nationally like we're supposed to, we can claim the caliphship, over the entire Islamic world. If we had our act together, no one will question. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, people that are giving them the most slack over in the East today, the Shiites, they bow down because they know that their patriarch was Ali. You see? And our patriarch, Noble Ali, traces tying back his bloodline back into that, Sharif bloodline. That's why he said Sharif Abdul Ali, going back to ancient nobles.